Yep, good to go. Welcome in to the Odd Shopper Betting Show on the Awesemo Odds channel, as we are going to make you some money. You probably didn't even realize that. Maybe you out there are going to make us some money. We only ask a couple of things here. Hit that thumbs up button right away. Make sure you're subscribed. The community is growing by the day here. We have a ton of fantastic content available for you on the channel. And then lastly, on this show specifically, we solicit your plays and picks as much as you're here awaiting Ben Ross's plays and picks and direction. So tell us what you have. Lock it up. Could be tonight, could be college, could be the NBA, could be the NFL over the weekend. Whatever you're most confident in, tennis, what century, whatever you have, we're here for you, Rosso, right?
Absolutely. Great time of the year. PGA gets started in a couple hours. We've got week 18 of the NFL, some do or die games. We're going to have the playoff picture. We've got some college hoops going on. NHL is on the ice. Bet a little NHL last night. Soccer.
Wow, did you?
I did. I
didn't see that in the Slack. You know, normally I'll get a nice little nugget or some little direction from you, like, hey, this is off here for Kansas State. Jump on them. I didn't see anything on the NHL in our Slack channel.
It's good because I saved you money. I bet the Blues and they lost in a heartbreaking fashion. So,
oh my,
no doubt about it. But no, listen,
we have got some have a normal loss. You know that? Yes, like, yeah. When's the last time you just had a normal loss?
Yeah, I hear that. Well, we're going to find out with college football national championship on Monday. If we can write that ship. But no, a lot to get to today. It's very, very exciting. And the cool thing about this show, we don't have a Thursday night game. So we're free to talk about playoff picture, week 18, anything that else comes up. If you guys have questions in chat, you know what to do. You hit that like button, drop any predictions, any questions in chat. We will be sure to get to them. But I just want to ask you, week 18, a lot of games that are meaningless. How do you approach that? Do you still have some places you want to attack, like, you know, the Cowboys, Eagles, games like that, or are you sticking to the games that we know motivation?
I think there's a middle ground to answer your question. I think every single game on the schedule has something we can look at, some sense of either narrative to a key player who's out, to even a game that has both teams out of the playoff picture, one team noticeably different. So, for example, I think a lot of people, and look, maybe this works to our advantage. I don't know as far as the ticket size right now on Thursday, January 6th, leading up to Sunday, but I can pretty much bet that even with the arrival of legalized betting a day before in New York, a lot of people may stay away from that Giants-Washington game. Why? New York is done. They're the worst offensive line in the NFL, and they're starting a third-string, arguably fourth-string quarterback. Washington has a coach who at least cares, guys who are playing. They've been decimated by injury/COVID as a major detriment. So I think people will overlook a game like that. I'm jumping in thinking I have no problem laying 7. In fact, I want to see what minus 10.5 to 11 looks like for Washington. So, yeah, I think the middle ground to answer your question, Ben, is don't give up. For people out there, don't give up on a game that simply has two teams out of the playoffs or one team going absolutely nowhere and another team kind of hanging on to hope. There's value across the board. And look, I'm not making that up. No bullshit. I really do like Washington a lot laying the 7 in New York.
I mean, the Giants had negative 10 yards passing. That's not a joke. They had negative 10 yards passing last week. That's the worst performance of all time.
And Glennon played in that game.
And he played. Jake Fromm will be, right, I believe, under center, and that is even more dangerous. It reminds me of preseason football. Can you bet that stuff? Yes. It's just very hard on a player prop standpoint to know what we're going to get, particularly with teams that have a future. Green Bay is a perfect example. They have said that maybe they are going to play their starters, but how much? How aggressive are they going to be? I think we can look to take advantage of some of that. And then we've got big time games. Obviously, we've got a Raiders-Chargers elimination game. We have a Colts game in a must-win where they're 16-point favorites over the helpless Jaguars. There's a lot to get to in that regard. So I think you just need to make sure you're doing your due diligence and you're not just looking at things straight up. Because if you look at them straight up, you're going to say, oh, wow, this line seems super off. Well, there's probably existential, whatever that word is, circumstance. I can't even say it.
Extenuating, I think.
Extenuating would be the word.
Existential. We're not going into like Kant here.
Yeah, that's right. We're using the spirits.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Mitigating circumstances for some of these lines.
All right, a couple of things here on the chat want to get to as we'll continue to look at the playoff picture. And I want to respond to something you said as far as the theme with this specific game and get your thoughts on it. But yeah, Shelton, we talked about this last week. Browns +3. Look what happens now. All of a sudden, they're laying 6 because of what's going on with Cincinnati. So hopefully people got in on that. Shelton also said, great to bet golf again. Speaking right to your heart right there. And then we have Berger. Najee ruined that alternate under. But thank you, Odd Shopper, +8 units, thanks to the D. Johnson under rushing yards. So, again, Odd Shopper works. You have proof positive in the pudding there with people on our very chat that it works. And then lastly, I just need to remind, I don't know if you remember, who had the Baker Mayfield over 7.5 rushing yards prop for Monday night? Because I tailed it and slammed it, and I just needed thanks. I forget who it was. Do you remember?
I don't. Obviously, it's one of the loyal
chat.
Yeah, one of our loyal viewers, and that's why I love this show. We got some real good opportunities. Hey, Dan just popped in and won some same game parlays centered on big men's over and completions, which was comically easy because his ADOT was about negative. It felt like just launching it for no yards. And these are the little things we can do on Odd Chopper. We're obviously going to touch that throughout the show. If you're new to the stream, welcome aboard. Obviously, it's great to have you guys as part of it. And for games like this, again, I think we truly on a Thursday need to take a back seat for props, but there's a lot to talk about in some of these games. And I do just want to throw this out to you. And I assume I know the answer. There's no possible way that the Colts would slip up, right?
No, there's no possible way that the Colts would slip up. What's up, Zach? We appreciate everybody popping in here. But here's what is, or I think, a reality that we have to factor in. Look, this may not be for everybody. It may be something that you're paying attention to, but it's a back burner thing that doesn't impact your bet. And to be fair, I'm not saying, Ben, and everybody else out there, that this should be the only thing that you factor in when you bet. But here's what I don't know, and I can't factor in on these bigger lines in a game like this. Colts are playing to win. What happens if you're up 30 in, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter? You're going to take guys out. The whole idea was same thing with Dallas against Philadelphia. Same thing with Tennessee and Houston, right? Same thing with, we have other scenarios as well. The Bills at home against the Jets. Any team that could use a win, must win or just could use a win, that has this ridiculous line. I am concerned, Ben, about when that moment is of a team being comfortable enough where they're up on a bad football team to pull guys, and then I have to worry about back or 15. It ain't easy beating a team by 16 or 17 points in the NFL, no matter who that team is. So, yes, the Colts can easily win and should and will easily win, but 15 points is playing with fire for a team, for any team that has the ability to sit guys late, just preparing for the following week in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, obviously, I think laying 15.5 points on the road, no matter what, is a little much. We don't have it up yet. Take a look at the Colts halftime, full time. I still think it'll be probably pretty massive. But if it's anything reasonable, I don't even think there's much of a chance that the Colts are slow starting and have to rally. I think the Colts just kind of roll here. So any exposure to that, Jonathan Taylor and the props, that's where it gets dangerous because they are going to rest him late in the game if they have that luxury. They're not going to mess around, but against a team like Jacksonville, it could be out of hand quickly.
I have -350 here in PA for HTFT Colts.
It's a little rich. I mean, maybe as a parlay piece, but I'm not looking to do just that.
No, it's not worth it. I mean, you've significantly cut the Colts on the money line, but I don't know if it's worth it.
Maybe if they start slow.
Well, look, if they start slow, you can jump in. But hold on a second. I think you're on the right path. We just may have the wrong game.
Okay.
Simply because of it 15, right? Let me give you I want to know what the HDFT is for Tennessee. Now we've dropped at 5 points on the line. The Titans are only -525. They need this to lock up the number 1 seed, especially because Kansas City, for all intents and purposes, is going to win on Saturday at Denver. I don't care about the cover line. I just want to look at here specifically for the Titans. But, I mean, if that's below, it's at 230, which, again, is now a viable parlay piece. Minus 350, maybe not so much, but Titans minus 230, I can at least have a conversation where we can work with that.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's some teams in that type of scenario that I don't mind. It's got to be the right, like any bet, it's got to be the right number. It's got to make sense. And I think you can look to some of those. Obviously, it seems the same, but it's not. Like when you're talking about 11-point favorites versus north of 2 touchdown favorites, it is a little different. And you just see that even reflected in the money lines. I'm not saying bet these. The Colts money line is minus 1,000 or minus 1,100 in a lot of spots. The Titans money line is like minus 500 in a lot of spots. So it's a totally different ball game. Just the nature of Week 18. I just have trouble with some of these lines where you just have teams that are not really in it, but you don't know what you're going to get. But then we've got like teams like the Saints versus the Falcons is an interesting game, and then the big game, Chargers Raiders.
So let's look at that Saints-Falcons game real quick. Chargers-Raiders, I think is going to take up a couple of minutes of our focus, rightfully so, and I love that you're on that side where I am as well. But real quick, the first game that you mentioned, there aren't a ton of props available for you ahead of time, granted. I did see, though, on a book of the 3 or so player props that were available, there was one for Taysom Hill in this game, and it's still on the board. It's at 50.5. And I'm thinking to myself, there are 2 plays here for Hill. One is the rushing yards at 50.5, and the other is the longest rush at 14.5. And normally I think what we do is if we identify a longest rush that is somewhat close, like if this were 30.5 rushing yards, it would make sense just to go over. I think you can make an argument, Ben, that both right now are playable as overs, and both stand to move higher to where you're getting in ahead of the closing line, because if you like, nothing changes with Taysom Hill in this game plan. They have to win this game because they're playing at the same time as the Niners. They need a Niners loss. They beat Atlanta. They're in. Nothing's changing with the game plan if Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas are in or out, right? It doesn't matter who's around Taysom Hill. We know that they want him to run the football. And if I can get you 51-plus yards rushing for Hill, it stands a pretty good shot that within those 51-plus yards, there's going to be at least a 15-yard run. So I was a little surprised these numbers, to me at least, seem pretty low in this game.
Yeah, listen, the Saints have been an interesting team. Obviously, they got caught with Ian Book on a week, and we saw that. I'm not going to go on a rant against the Dolphins again, but clearly the Saints are a much better team with Taysom Hill and the team at somewhat full strength. It's been a tough year for them. I think they win this game. I actually like to lay the points with the Saints, particularly if you can find 4. I trust their defense immensely. They've held in all year. Taysom Hill provides stability. You've got Kamara, Callaway, and those guys. They do enough. They're not the best receiving core I've ever seen, but they've got enough gadget guys that I think you can look to some of these Taysom Hill props. The game is in a dome. That isn't important in December. So there's a lot to like for this game. And I do think it could be, I'm not going to say crazy high scoring by any stretch, but I do lean to some of the overs for the Saints this week.
Wow. As far as just individuals, the game itself?
The game itself is a little tricky just because I'm not sure what Atlanta gives you. You got a total at 40.5. But if I like the Saints in the game, and I do, I think there's a lot of ways the Saints win this game, like 27-10. And it goes under the number, but the Saints do their part. I'm not sure what Atlanta's offense can do. They've been disappointing all year. They are at home, but I respect the Saints defense a lot.
It's an interesting call there. I think I would live bet the total after I get maybe a quarter of what Atlanta looks like. Because you know the Saints. You know what the Saints are going to do. The game plan shouldn't change much. But I'm with you. It's a low total that maybe you can take advantage of once you have an idea of which Atlanta team shows up. And I don't think you're going to lose a ton of value either because the Saints are the constant that's built in there. So it makes sense. I like that game, especially from the Saints side. I'm not trusting much with Atlanta. I want to get your thought. You mentioned the Chargers Raiders. You're on the Chargers side. No surprise there. I am as well. if it's a matter of laying 3, if it's a matter of trying to use this 160 that we have on BetMGM as a parlay piece, something along those lines, have you found a way to attack this game that makes the most sense? Because we're both on the Chargers, and I think laying the 3 is fine, but maybe we missed something with a better return here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options for what you can do. You can certainly lay the 3. That's very obvious. Find around -155 out there. Not a lot of like hanging numbers. So if you want to, you can just lay that straight, or you can parlay it with something else and get plus money. A lot of options. I just think that the Raiders, and listen, that's credit where credit is due. They went in and they beat Indianapolis in a game they had to have. And that's very, very impressive. At some point, though, doesn't it have to like catch up with them? They've just had so many issues. And the Chargers are a team. I know they are so bad against the run, and maybe Josh Jacobs can do that. I still think that after slipping up against Houston, they rebounded. They absolutely crushed Denver. In this big-time game, they beat them the first time. I think the Chargers sweep them and get it done.
There is this sense of, and I know their record doesn't necessarily reflect it, especially since they've won 3 straight. I think most impressively is that win last week at Indianapolis, the Colts victory that the Raiders had. Look, Cleveland is a mess and Denver is a mess, and they're narrowly beating these teams. I think they're more of a reflection of a team that, again, despite their 9-7 record, Ben, you're right. It's hard to think from a human element that all of the shit on and off the field that is piled up for the Raiders isn't taking its toll now, where it's just like, all right, let's get through this. Not like New York Jets level of let's just get through this, go home, and we can start playing golf, but it's almost tangible, isn't it? Like, it's almost like the Raiders don't have that fight in them anymore, and the Chargers are starting to see it like as visible and I think even more palpable than the Raiders. So yeah, I have no problem looking at the Raiders like they're on life support, and they kind of just need somebody to pull the plug as opposed to them going out on their own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, clearly, like I said, I was very impressed. I thought there was no chance they would beat a team like the Colts. Not that I bet that game, but to add a little context, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They beat the Browns by 2, Denver by 4, and Indy by 3. So they've won 3 kind of toss-up games in a row. Everyone gets destroyed by Kansas City. They lost to Washington. They beat Dallas by 3. Again, they've shown they can beat anyone. They've also, they lost to the Giants at one point in this year. Like, they can lose to anyone. And I just think talent-wise, as long as we don't get, crazy COVID outages, I always call them San Diego, but the LA Chargers, they have so much firepower on their offensive side. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, obviously Herbert, Eckler. I don't know if the Raiders are built to really stop that. And they've shown they can hang in unless they get a really heavy run attack. And I think that's one way you can do a same game parlay here. I don't see it, though. I'm going to back the Chargers in this spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Mike Awesemo here is producing the show, puts up on the chat. And BetMGM, it's down to -109 here. The Chargers money line, Titans money line gets us to -109. Look, if you want to add a couple of other elements in here, you can throw them. Even just adding the Colts bet at -1,000 moves this thing up to 111. So you've essentially taken the Chargers and Titans money line and got a +111 return by adding the Colts in it. Now, of course, you keep getting greedier and greedier, but Chiefs, Chargers, Titans, Colts, Chiefs. All 4 on the money line are getting you +158. I know on the surface, this is a bad return for 4 teams in a parlay. However, let me appeal to you just one small little piece of your brain here. Okay? It's week 18 where you have far less of the, oh, it's week 10 against the Giants. Do we really need to give a shit? You don't know where I'm going here. Like, there's an extra sense of motivation that may mitigate the irresponsibility of placing this wager.
Yeah, it's still irresponsible, but no doubt about it.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, it's listen, it's like anything else with these heavy money lines. Are they going to win? Probably, but when you start throwing more and more in, all it takes is one of them to go down, and you see that more often than not. I don't mind padding the Chargers with a little to shave it down towards even money or maybe plus, but I'm not a fan of throwing in even the Colts. I'm not saying the Colts are going to lose, but at minus 1,000, you're really not doing that much. You're moving it a little. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I would rather lay a little extra and keep it very tight than just start throwing in things like that, because it can get crazy stuff happens.
I know, it's the NFL, and
it's the NFL.
We've seen every week
crazier things than that happen this year.
No, absolutely. When does everything close officially? When does the gate close? 2:39 p.m. on the East Coast. I'm not going to let you wait until lock it up when we get out of here, so you could sprinkle in something on Colin Morikawa minus 135 top 10. All right, we have 40 guys in this field. So everybody's a top 20 candidate. There's not going to be anything there. I don't know how bold you are as far as to reach out for an end of round one leader here, but you actually have some decent return on a couple of long guys, including Cantlay at plus 1,800, or Burns even at the same return, who I'd be interested in. But let's get it from Ben Rasa here. All right. So we don't have to squeeze this in on some lock it up before we get out of here. We have winners, top fives, and I'll even let you sneak in a top 10 if you like, but that's where I draw the line, because top 20 is ridiculous on this short field.
So I can't go Rom top 20 minus 650.
I have him at 850 or at 800 now, so that's moved.
Don't do that. It's not a great betting week. There's no doubt about it. I do have a couple guys on my card for outrights. I think Bryson at 12-1 is very interesting. A lot of people are on Patrick Reed, upwards of 28-1 to win. I think he's a better bet than DFS play, but have some interest there. And then Cam Smith. For me, the one long shot guy for a top five, Joel Dahman is 16-1 out there in the market. It's a guy who's shown he can win on some of these resort island type courses. It's a much stronger field than his PGA Tour victory. But again, this is a 38-man field. This is not, I'm not gonna say it's not real golf, but it's the first tournament of the year with the Tournament of Champions. I'm not looking for a ton here on the betting card. Sony will be a lot different.
So Patrick Reed top five gets me 4-1. Cam Smith top five gets me 330. Bryson gets me plus 230, and Dahman gets me plus 400.
Yeah, again, I think that if you want to build a small card for this, totally reasonable. Guy like Daniel Berger, I have no problem with him. He's going to be extremely popular in the DFS market. Homa, I have no real inkling with Homa in the betting market this week, but Homa is a macro buy for me this year. I think he's going to have a really big year playing him in my lineup. So I'm all for that. This is a weird week, though, because, again, 38 guys.
So two guys I want to throw at you here. One is I still think there's good value in a field where he may – I don't know, actually. I'll defer to you as far as the value itself, but at plus 1,800 to win, even down to a plus 125 top 10, I don't hate taking a shot on Sam Burns. Let's start there.
So you've been talking too much to Eric Lindquist. Sam Burns
is his guy. Like,
yeah, he loves Sam Burns. He's a big Sam Burns guy.
What up, Lindquist?
Yeah, I get it. Listen, Sam Burns has been incredibly impressive during this run. I just think that you're paying a pretty hefty tax. I talked about this last night. There are two questions, or one question that you have to have the answer to with this guy. He's either this good and it's still an easy buy, or he's running really hot and we're going to see him regress. I think it's the latter. Eric thinks it's the former. So far, he has been absolutely correct. The guy is just absolutely motoring, particularly on Bermuda greens, which we have here. I just don't love that when I can bet a guy like Patrick Reed, a major winner, at 28-1 over a guy like Sam Burns at not half that, but nearly half that.
So off that theme here, I'm looking at another guy and I'm appealing to a sense of consistency in a short field where I know that a guy may not do one thing exceptionally well, but he doesn't really do one thing bad, and that's Sung Jae Im. Now, off what he has just to win it, again, these are long shots taking to win, even on the top five, what I was interested in attacking a market with him is top rest of the world, right? When you start to look at the return, you've got Cam Smith, who I know you love. Matsuyama are the only two guys ahead. You still have to deal with Leishman, Siwoo Kim to a lesser extent, and really Abraham Answer behind him. But Sung Jae Im to finish top rest of the world with those guys essentially in the mix is plus 500 as opposed to him beating the field or finishing top 5 in the field.
I do like that a little better. It is a pretty strong, not that I've looked at this bet intensely, but it's a very strong rest of the world. You know, those are some quality players. There's no doubt the Australians come in. You mentioned them. You've got Hideki, who I really like this week, but Sanjay's just a world-class player. He's consistent. He does everything well. No glaring weakness. The putter is not elite, but it's not terrible either. He is someone that I think we all know is going to be a staple on the PGA Tour for a very, very long time.
All right, my friend, let's hit the parlay builder. We'll lock it up before we get out of here, by all means. And I'm excited for all of the people in New York come Saturday morning because
that's me.
Yes, you. Finally, you don't have to take that trip to Connecticut, allegedly, anymore, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be fantastic. And obviously, we're going to have tons of content. You guys know the drill if you're from there. If you have questions, by the way, I know there's a lot of people and it's overwhelming. Even as someone who's bet for a very, very long time, it's an overwhelming feeling of like, what do I do? How do I go about this? I truly can speak to this. What you want to do is get in our Discord and we can help you out. I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be doing the same process along with you guys because it's not like I have these books in New York just yet. So we're going to all do that together. And if you have questions at Shander Show, at JazzRaz DFS, we are happy to help you. If you are a New Yorker and you're saying, I'm interested in this, but I've never done this before, we're happy to help you get started.
And honestly, a lot of what we're going to tell you will show you, but a lot of what we'll tell you right away is go to OddsShopper. Just head on over to OddsShopper. So much of the work is being done for you. I mean, we're constantly putting up new content, videos, the shows that we're doing, written content, island games, and we're attacking everything that OddsShopper has for you. And the beauty of it is you see Mike putting it up here, the parlay builder, where this is like, all right, now all of the work is being done for you right here. And now, as we have one more week of regular season NFL with player props, all leagues, NFL, you can mix and match. You can go and shop NHL bets. And this is what I love about the parlay builder, right? I'll just do this real quick off script here, like the entire show's off script, but just showing you the parlay builder. Right. So I'm in PA and maybe I want to look at an NBA parlay, if it's the party, if it's the 10X, what have you. And I want to just look at the best NBAs. So I'll take maybe 3 or 4 or the entire build here, but I'm greedy, right? I want more. So I'll go to shop NHL bets and I'll sort by my state. And if I want ROI or X win, I can look at 1 or 2 of the strongest player props now for the NHL. I go right back to my book. I add the prop party parlay that I have. I add the 10X, what have you. And then I still use OddsShopper, Ben, to add more so I can have my cake, my muffin, my brownie, and everything else I needed to.
I don't like dessert. Not a dessert fan over
here.
Wait
a second. What?
Yeah, I don't really like dessert. I like brownies a little, but not a big dessert guy.
Wait a second.
That was well said, though.
I've heard of people who are like anti-eggs when it comes to breakfast, or like
eggs.
Well, yeah, like anti a cuisine when it comes to something in the umbrella. Like I eat breakfast, but I don't eat 90% of the bread. You're out on an entire serving, like an entire meal, which is dessert. You don't even eat, dare I say, like the fruit shit that gets served as dessert.
Well, no, that's last. That's not like I don't. This is the thing. It's not like I don't like dessert. I just could do without it more than I could do without pizza or steak or like hot take. This is a real aggressive hot take.
Yes,
dessert should be first.
I don't think that's as hot. Hold on a second. Dessert being first is mild. It's frozen compared to I'm out on dessert. Like the hot take you gave was that you don't like dessert.
I don't really. It's just not the. I feel like people eat and then they're like, oh, like that was delicious. Time for dessert. Like, okay, I just had my delicious appetizers, some good entrees. I could do without, like, sure, you want to get a chocolate lava cake for the table. I'll stick the spoon in there and eat a little, but I don't need that.
Look, wait until your metabolism absolutely stops, because then there'll be a direct correlation to you wanting more chocolate and sweet stuff.
Not a big chocolate guy.
So, all right. So there's the thing. You're not I've got a sweet tooth. Like I've got an entire mouth.
Never had a cavity. I don't like soda. I don't like chocolate. I don't like candy.
Okay. So you're in good shape.
good shape. No, my arteries are closing as the show speaks. I eat pizza all the time, but I don't love dessert. Dessert is overrated. That is a fact.
But here's the thing. You don't like sweets, so you attract to salt. It's one of the two.
Yes.
So the sodium in pizza is like a siren calling for you.
Oh, yeah. I had a nice.
I know you by name down the street at your pizza
Buffalo
shop.
Chicken slice yesterday was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, my goodness. See, not that I live by this idea, says Kickstart, but I do like the heavy breakfast, light dinner concept. Okay?
That's my concept. I normally have delicious bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning. A little everything bagel with scallion cream cheese. I eat like a anaconda. I really like. I eat once and then I just can chill for like days.
Wow.
Death row meals only.
We are finding new things out about Ben Rasa each and every show. This is amazing.
This really is just like, oh, tiramisu. Get out of here with that.
Well, it makes sense, though. See, you buried the lead. You're out on sugar. So immediately all this.
I don't know about that. I eat a lot of bread, but.
Yeah, but that's more sodium, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Guy. I just pretend that I am.
You're a walking salt lick. That's what you are right now. You're the human embodiment of a piece of salt. You've got all that in you, which is fine. We have a vice. It's either sweet or salt. I don't know if you know that, but that's what our brains break down.
All right. Well, there you go.
All right, my friend. Now lock up a dessert, will you? What's the one dessert you want to lock up? The fruit plate?
No, it would be like some type of lava cake that you have. I'll be like this. The best desserts is this is a life hack. If they tell you need to order it before the meal because it takes a long time to prepare, that's worth getting into. Like I've been to restaurants where they're like, listen, we have a molten lava cake, but you have to order it now because it takes a while. So you know it's legit.
Man, you must be going to some high.
Yeah, I go to some places. Let me tell you. That's why I got to pick winners.
Well, that's
why
what
I
mean.
Pick winners here.
Like, if there was ever a reason to tail Ben Ross's plays, he's bragging about the star restaurants that he's eating. Like, when's the last time you think Shelton or me or Chris G or Berger went to a place and said, you might want to order the chocolate cake now before you order your entrees?
Well, that's good. I like that better than like, oh, this will be out in 30 seconds. It's like, well, what is this? What are we doing here?
All right. High-end Ben Rasa along for the ride here. Let's lock it up. All right. Now, anything you have out there, we're going to give you a couple of plays here. Lock it up. Kickstart locking Diggs over 65.5 yards.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a really good one there. Buffalo is playing to win that game, at least to start. So I think we can take advantage of anything positive there from an over standpoint. All right. I'll begin, and then you can start there. You can end, pardon me, when we all wrap up this lock it up. I gave you this earlier, but I'm a little torn right now. I got in Browns +3. I was tempted to even lay it again, but I'm gonna go to something here where I'm gonna lay 2 units to win 1. Okay, you tell me if you like the strategy or not. Washington halftime, full time, and I blame you for bringing this up and planting the HTFT seed.
Those are good bets. I bet those a lot.
Well, even better because you're eating at the right places. So clearly you're doing something right. Washington halftime, full time is -145. I'm going to bet 2 units to win 1 here.
All right. Yeah. So that's 2.9 to win. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't mind that.
I'm locking it up, Ben.
Lock it up. Listen, the Giants have no offense. They ran the ball 40 times in a game that they lost by many, many touchdowns last week. They have absolutely no passing attack. Talk about a team that wants to just be done with the season. They might be the top of the list. Washington, it's been a rough year for them too, but at least they're fighting a little bit. I have no problem with that. I'm going to just stick to the big game. I really think this is just one of those games, kind of like Tennessee, Miami, where I'm not going to say the Raiders are frauds. It's week 18. The Chargers are just simply better, and this is a must-win game. It's the elimination game for both teams. The Chargers will get it done. I will lay the 3. You can do a lot with them. Chargers make the playoffs. Lock it up.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. No problems there whatsoever. We appreciate you hanging with us. We'll be back next week. Matt Gajeski is going to join us on Monday. Put that in the chat. Just a reminder, Matt's going to hang with us on Monday as we have a gigantic national championship game to attack from as many angles as humanly possible. Real quick, I see Dan eyeing Detroit under 26.5 first quarter points if that becomes available. They score less than 24 on the season, last 5 games, and when playing away. Dan giving you 3 different researched reasons to go under the Detroit total. And last, if I can, Ben, just a reminder, and I'm going to give people tangible evidence of what we're doing on this channel outside of these shows. The Odd Shopper video that we shot today, it's up. It's available for you. Check it out. Can I just give away our same game parlay and still remind? Okay. Under 220.5 total, under 9.5 Chris Paul assists, over 8.5 Ibaka points. That's in the Clippers-Suns game. We're going under the total at 220.5, under 9.5 Chris Paul assists, over 8.5 Ibaka points. That's plus 625 when we wagered it earlier in the day. Just giving people an example of all the great things we do here, sir.
Well said. Again, welcome aboard. Hit that like button on your way out. And thanks, guys, for another fun show. We'll be back Monday talking National Championship CFB. We'll see you guys then.
See you.